Welcome to Market Pulse Pros and Pioneers. Each week, I talk with industry leaders on both marketing and entrepreneurship and business to find out all about their wins and failures in marketing right now. We'll hear all about successes and wins and what's fallen flat so that you can take that knowledge and implement it. Learn from the best, from the folks who've been there and done it all, as well as people just like you. Thanks for joining us. This is Market Pulse Pros and Pioneers.
Hello and welcome back for another episode of Market Pulse Podcast. Did I sound really Matin when I said that? I feel like my posh video voices. I've been on half term this week. We've been off with the kids, and I feel like my posh voice has disappeared, which is good. I prefer my Macam voice, but it's also not good for transcription. But I tend to transcribe things, and the words I've had some interesting words transcribed. With me this week, ladies and gentlemen, I've got the fantastic Ryan McCarroll. Ryan, thanks for joining us on the show. Hello.
Yeah, thanks for bringing me on.
You're welcome. I bumped into Ryan on LinkedIn probably about 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 months ago. It's been a while, right? And I was fascinated by Ryan's journey, much the same as I was when I bumped into Devrim. I just, hands on heart, I think it's brilliant that you guys, like, without trying to sound patronizing, right? This is not meant in a patronizing way, but for young people to be out there being an entrepreneur and not just trying to be an entrepreneur whilst working at university or whatever, to go all in and to set up your own business. And not only that, Ryan, but let's be honest, like we were chatting before the show, but you're doing a tremendous job with building that business out, which I'm sure we'll hear about in a second. I wish I'd had that opportunity when I was at that age, because when I was at that age, everybody went to university, then you went into corporate world, then you came out and started your own business if that's what you wanted to do. It wasn't something that many young people were doing at that point. And I want to dig into this a little bit more. I'll digress a little bit there, but I want to dig into that a little bit more before we get going. So Ryan is the founder of Deep Point Lab and also co-founder of AnswerThis, which is a digital marketing consultancy and research tool aimed at empowering small businesses and academics. With a background that began in sales and marketing at just 14, people at home, 14, Ryan's built a $10K dollars. I always go $10K pounds, $10,000 business from scratch, driven by passion for helping small businesses grow through effective digital strategies. Ryan is now based out in the US, and he has unique experiences that help businesses streamline operations, improve marketing performance, and not just that, but thrive in the digital age. That is some write-up, Ryan. That is some write-up. And I know you can back it up. So what a fantastic journey. Sales and marketing at 14, how did that happen?
So I was really fortunate. When I was 14, I was playing around with Instagram. So I used to just really enjoy watching clips and watching motivational posts where it just lay out that a certain Instagram group liked. And so I wanted to do a bit of that myself as I was reading books of entrepreneurs, books on how money works. And I wanted to share what little wisdom I had at that time, which wasn't really too much. And so I was growing my own personal brand on Instagram. And this guy reached out to me called Alex Kamara. He's a 7-figure entrepreneur from the Netherlands. And he wanted me to help him out with managing Instagram accounts for clients who had about 100, 200, 300K followers on Instagram. His whole thing was essentially, at the time, a lot of Instagram managers tend to be Indian or from Asian regions, whereas these big personal accounts wanted more Western, and that's their unique selling point. And so I came on and was helping him out with these different personal brand businesses, and he was like a mentor, and I was partially working for free at that point as well. I was mainly just doing it for the experience, and I thought it was super cool to be able to help out and work with these brands. And I learned so much about sales and social media marketing through that. And so I really just stuck with that for about a year. And then from there, I used what I learned from all that social media marketing to then my own personal business, which I made with my brother called Craft and Coffee. I think I was about 15 or 16 when I started down. We grew that to, I think, 100 plus sales to 13 plus countries. It was a subscription-based business. It was during a time where COVID was going about, so a lot of coffee distilleries and not distilleries, but coffee makers were finding it hard to sell during that time. And so we had a subscription business where we essentially just promoted local Northern Irish coffee brewers. And we posted out their roasted coffee. And yeah, we stuck at that until eventually my brother moved over to the States and that went away. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey just being able to have those opportunities and to be able to learn at such a young age. So yeah, I'm immensely grateful for that.
We see you're grateful, but you walk through the door, right? That door opens, and I'm a big fan of talking about this because I've had my own doors that I've walked through to get where I am right now. And I see a lot of people who have a victim mentality, right? This is my life. This is all I've ever been given. And I often see when people in that frame of mind get offered something that could be game changing, they disbelieve it because why would that ever happen to me? Whereas I see other people like yourself who have that entrepreneurial mindset of what's the worst that could happen here, right? I give some time of my own free will. It doesn't work out. I don't make any money, but I've learned a ton while I'm doing it. And quite often when you do walk through that door, you then have the opportunity to turn that into revenue, to turn it into a business. And it's skills that at your age, it sets you head and shoulders above pretty much anybody else. And to have a conversation with you about business, I wouldn't guess, if I couldn't see you on screen, I wouldn't guess that you're the age that you are, right? I learned what B2B was at 39, right? I had no idea what B2B was until I was 39. I had to have it explained to me because I'd lived all my life in B2C world. I'd lived all my life in corporate. And I came out and I walked through that door the same as you did at a much later age. But it's a fantastic path to hear somebody join on. So then you're now based in the States. I guess you've moved out with the brother, right? Or because of your brother?
Yeah, so actually when I think it would have been the second last year of high school, my brother went through the exact same program and it was called Sudden Trust. It's a Fulbright program where essentially kids from low income backgrounds in the UK can get a chance to go to America for 2 weeks. And so I was gassed. I really wanted to go to New York because I've heard so many good things. In fact, I was weirdly passionate about the $1 pizzas that they do over there. I just thought it was really cool. So I just wanted to go over there and experience it. Sadly, that is when COVID did happen. So I didn't have the opportunity to go on that trip. But I got into the Sudden Trust. Through that, I was able to work on college applications to the US and have more of a chance of getting a generous scholarship, which I ended up getting for University of Richmond. Again, absolutely super grateful for that. That's the same process and my brother went through. Yeah, now I'm stuck here in the US for another 2 years. I'm in my third year at the minute and yeah, I'm absolutely loving it.
Fantastic to hear. It really is inspirational. And when I think I came away from university with pretty much a pile of debt in an industry that I left in 2005 as the first dot-com bubble burst, right? There was no jobs in what I wanted to do anymore. I ended up going into retail.
Wow.
So my degree pretty much went to waste for 20 years, 15 years. But it's interesting how that came back in later life. And I hope you see that too, is not just the skills that you're building on an entrepreneurial side, but your qualifications will become much more relevant further down the line when actually they're what separate you from other people and give you a unique skill set that other people don't have who haven't been through that educational environment. Talk me through Deep Point Lab, first of all. So what's Deep Point Lab and why focus on small businesses?
Yeah, so I guess my passion for small businesses, my dad actually, he does a lot of landscaping work, or I guess in the UK it's like fencing, lawn mowing work. So he did a lot of that on the side. He actually retired recently and was thinking of making his own small business just to do a bit of landscaping on the side. And so I've always grown up with people who own small businesses or like trying to do side hustles and work in that way. And so I resonated with the struggles that small business owners have to face, having to go through financial struggles during half the season or half the months of the year. For landscapers from November to March, it's really rough for them. And to try and help those guys out was something I'm really passionate about. And during my summer of my first year here at college, I actually met up with a guy called Ayush Garg. He's really good with technology. He's amazing at websites. He can code like no one else can code. I think when he was younger too, he's originally from India and he was like the top 0.1% in math in India, which is immensely impressive. So I was blessed to meet up with him. He all came into that entrepreneurial world during the summer of first year as well. And so we try to combine both our passions. I was more of the marketing sales side. I really enjoyed all of that aspect of business, whereas he was more product focused, building up websites, all these technologies, all streamlining pretty much anything. And I started out marketing to small businesses originally as a sort of an experiment to see if we could actually help them. I know a lot of these agencies, and honestly, it's quite disgusting. I really don't like a lot of these agencies because they'll come in, they'll promise big results. And we've talked to so many business owners. I think I've talked to 100 landscaping owners over the first summer here at college. And all of them, I'd say all of them who did work with an agency had a horrible experience. For example, a lot of these guys promote SEO. And SEO is not something that can just be worked up in a month, but that's what people are promoting SEO as to be. And when you come in and you see the work that these SEO businesses are doing, they essentially just post a blog like once a month and expect that to boost the SEO. They might change some things in the meta tags or H1 tags, and it's like minimal work. Sure, it's going to increase SEO by a little bit, but it's not going to really impact business that much. And we came through with a holistic package, which was Instagram marketing, Facebook marketing. We would probably do up their SEO as well as newsletters for them. We'd essentially try and streamline the whole functionality of their business so that they would get better results. So they'll have more Google reviews, which is generally good for SEO. If they have more 5-star reviews, they're going to rank higher on that Google Maps, especially local SEO, amazing for that. We go through, we'd redo their entire website. A lot of these landscaping businesses don't really know how to run a website and don't really know the whole technology aspect of things. So we'd come in, we'd fix all of that up for them. And then, of course, I would use their Instagram marketing that I knew, as well as the Facebook marketing, which is very similar to Instagram marketing as well. We would 10x their following accounts and honestly just throw a community around their brands. We'd made lots of Facebook communities for these books, as well as building up their own personal brands, having them be a thought leadership, but also showing off their work at the same time. Actually made them more personally satisfied in their work. So it's not just grinding out day by day, trying to get through it, but instead it's something they genuinely enjoy, especially when you hear feedback from not just customers, but people who haven't even used your business and them saying, oh, this is really cool. I really enjoy like these clips. They find that really fun to have. Once we found out that what we're doing works, we started monetizing that. And we've just been doing that ever since. It has been slower recently, as I'm sure we'll start to talk about AnswerThis. But for a first start business, I think it's obviously been an amazing ride to do it. And I guess I don't want to sound arrogant in saying this, but it's also like a lot easier than I expected, especially in the sales side. We started off by just doing cold emails. And from there, we'd book a call. And honestly, I hear all these Instagram reels and like YouTubers talk about how they overcomplicate sales in a way, I believe, because they always talk about, oh, you've got to say this to this like setback. Oh, someone will say this and you've got to say this, but there's really nothing to memorize. If you go in, ask genuine questions in your first call, which is just a customer discovery call, just ask questions and see if there's genuinely a problem that they have. If there is a problem that you can solve, then great. Go for it, ask for a second call, say, hey, I think that we could potentially solve these problems. I'd love to tell you a bunch of ideas that we have and put it in a format that's easy for you to understand. And if you don't want to work with us after that, and that's fine, completely fair. You can just take the information that we give you, and you can use it on your own. Or if you do want us to work with you after that, then we'd be more than happy to. And this is what it would take in order for us to work with you. It's just a 2-call process, customer discovery call and a proposal call. And essentially we'd book from there. And yeah, I don't know what your experience of sales is, or hearing all these gurus out there, but I definitely do think it's a lot simpler than what people make it out to be. And honestly, the first step to anything is just doing it.
I love that there's a clear passion behind what you do. And you've, unlike a lot of other businesses, you've clearly articulated who your first target market is, being that lawn care business and the business that you know so well. And I think that's a great example to a lot of other businesses out there. we're scared of niching down into that subset of customers because essentially we're doing what you do. You've got a huge target market. There's very little in the way of what does or doesn't work. It's more a case of where can you showcase experience, and you've gone there first, which is fantastic. Talked about Instagram accounts here, and a lot of the followers of this podcast are B2B, right? So small to medium businesses who are B2B. As an example, obviously this podcast, I run the TikTok channel for this podcast, and I don't see it as a key channel for us, right? Like it's a way to raise awareness. I don't expect to see business through it. I don't expect to get a lot of inquiries through it. I want to raise awareness. And I think that's having that goal in mind for business owners when you're doing these things is important. I logged back into our TikTok account a couple of days ago and found that we had over 17,000 likes and 153,000 views. When you consider that all I'm doing is posting out TikTok reels week in and week out, I'm not really putting any effort into it. My wife queues them up, writes the posts into them, sends them off to schedule. That's it. We wash, rinse, repeat. That's been a phenomenal find for me, and it's blown my mind. So in your view, what's the best advice you can give a small business owner who's maybe more B2B focused? How can is Instagram worth it for them? And if so, what's the number one thing that they can do to make a difference there if they're already acting?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. From my personal experience, like Instagram and TikTok's amazing for what you said, spreading awareness, but it's going to be really hard to get sales initially. Like Instagram's going to be a very long-term thing you'll have in the background, which will eventually make sales. But my main focus or my main piece of advice would be to really learn either cold emailing or cold calling. Cold calling's a lot harder. And honestly, I've probably spent hundreds of hours just cold calling. And maybe nowadays it's a lot harder. I'm not quite sure why, but I haven't really had that many good results. Maybe 2 calls booked with probably, I want to say 1,000 people called. Whereas cold emailing, that can just run in the background. If you have a really nice cold email script, then you can just burst that out to you thousands of landscapers at once. If it comes across as genuine and personal, and if you sound like you're genuinely curious about wanting to learn more about their business and want to actually get on a call with them, then you're going to be very likely to be able to book that just one interview, and from there you can really take it. Honestly, like the hardest bit of the whole sales process is booking that initial call. And my biggest piece of advice would be to practice on refining your scripts, refining your copy, and just sending yourself out to loads of whoever your target customer base is. For example, a few tools that I've really found useful would be Outscraper to find emails. You can focus on the group. So say you're like me, you can find landscaper owners really easy for there. A lot of people use Apollo as well. I'm not too big of the Apollo fan just because I think it's expensive and a lot of the emails they give me aren't very valid. So I'd use Outscraper to find emails. I'd use Debounce to verify that the emails are actually existent, because there's a lot of spam traps. There's a lot of dead emails that you'll find. So that sort of washes out all the bad emails and just keeps the good ones. And from there, you can use, if you're just starting out, you can use, I'm trying to remember the name of it, Speak CRM for Gmail is really good just for starting out and sending out about 50 emails at a time. If you want to get a little bit more advanced with it, I recommend using Smart Leads or even Salesforce. Both of them are really good for sending out emails. And then from there, you're just wanting the big calls and refine copy. I guess you asked me for Instagram advice, but from that side of things, I don't really use it too much myself. In fact, I've only used it for the first time about 2 months ago, but I know the meta ads are really good for B2B businesses. If you have a high ticket sale that you're trying to do, so if your product's worth more than £1,000 or $1,000, I highly recommend using meta ads just because it's going to be low cost and high returns. But in terms of Instagram and Facebook growth, I'd say really it's just for awareness, and I would keep that running in the background, but that probably shouldn't be your main focus when you're just starting off or when you're really trying to get customers quickly.
And I think that's the problem that I see a lot of business owners come up against, is they have false expectations of what a channel's going to do for them. I get people come to me. We do a lot of repurposing for people. So I give them content in lots of different formats. And their immediate response usually is, oh, great. So now I can be across all of the social channels. I'm like, yeah, but get good at LinkedIn first, because you've now got ammunition for it. Because that's B2B, that's where it's at, right? Once you've got that, YouTube, definitely, because that's searchable. You can curate a playlist on there. You can put what videos you think are relevant in front of your target audience. Great. Everything else beyond that, you need to test and learn one at a time. And I've no doubt that the audiences are there for these things, right? So people say all the time, I hear B2B owners saying, my audience isn't on YouTube, for example. That's crap these days. I don't use it that way. I know I don't use it that way. I use it for Blippi and number blocks for my son, right? But the numbers that I see back on it tell me the story that there are people on there who are interested in that sort of content. Not in huge numbers, but they are there. And if that holds true and I can make TikTok sing and dance with just a podcast with no real effort behind it, then I know Instagram's not going to be too far behind that in terms of what it can do and achieve. So each channel has its own way of supporting your business. Go into it with your eyes open and test and learn on each one. I guess to come back then, Ryan, to mistakes that people made.
I just want to, because you made an excellent point about social media and that you should focus on one channel at a time. I think that's great advice. And also for B2B businesses, like you said, I think LinkedIn is definitely the best one to focus in at first. Because a lot of, I mentioned cold emails, but LinkedIn also works just as good, if not better than cold emails. And actually, I highly recommend that for B2B businesses as well. And if you have a business account on LinkedIn that has more than 1,000 followers, you're going to look really trustworthy when you reach out. And if someone can just quickly look at you and look at your business and be like, wow, okay, this is actually interesting. These people know what they're talking about. If you're posting about work that you've done or advice for businesses that are related for your sector, it can give you a really good validation for those businesses. I actually highly recommend focusing on LinkedIn first. But then to answer your other question, what mistakes agency owners make when they have the client, what should you avoid? I think because I have made quite a few mistakes, especially for our first clients. And I think one, in that proposal call, be crystal clear of what your output's going to be, what they should expect as a return, and be specific, or make sure your goals are specific, measurable, and relevant. Those are the three things. And you want them to be something that you can actually achieve. Or be really attempting to oversell on that first call and pretend that you can do a lot more than you can actually do. So be as realistic as possible with your goals. And so when you hit them, the business will generally be satisfied, because realistically, what you sell on that proposal is what they expect. And so if you can't meet those expectations, it's simple as they're just not going to be happy. So that's my first piece of advice. My second would be, and this is all just sort of client relationship. At the end of the day, your goal is to make your client happy. And so doing anything possible to make your client happy is ultimately what you want to do. You can achieve anything you want to achieve, but if your client's not going to be satisfied with that, then what's the point of doing all of that work? So another piece of advice I'd give would be to have stand-ups with your clients. So what I used to do was every 2 weeks, I'd have all the work that we've done for the client. I'd have some results. So how much is their Instagram grown, for example? How much have we measured that have directly come from us? And how many sales have actually increased? So it might be hard to get specific, measurements on those. But for us, we were able to clearly see how many sales came through Instagram, came through Facebook, came through the newsletter. And we were able to lay all of that out on a stand-up call. And also we'd have a little Canva presentation with all this information for them. So I'd say those two things are really key, because you can get really boiled down and just working on product, working on your service, but client relationship is something that is extremely undervalued. And it's ultimately, in my opinion, what matters the most. So that'd be my biggest piece of advice.
Just before we go back to that, so some great points there. For me, I'd say, if you're a business owner and then you're not feeling that relationship, Maybe you're just not getting the communication back. The communication doesn't feel as though it's right for you. I guess trust your gut is what I would say on the relationship side of things. If it doesn't feel right, there's probably somebody better suited out there who is a better fit, because right about at the beginning, it's like dating, right? It's like going out in a relationship for the first time. It's the best it's ever going to be. If it's feeling off now, in 6 months' time, you betcha that's going to be worse than what it is right now. Second thing being, if they just say yes to everything, if you're pushing them for, I want to see this, I want to see that, I want to see the other, and all you're getting back is yes. No is a powerful word for trust. No, I can't do that. No, we don't work that way. No, that's not something we can contribute or measure towards. What we can do is this. In my experience, that's how you build trust with a client, by being, to your point, very clear about what you can or can't deliver. And I don't think any client expects to get everything on their wish list from one agency, right? It's accepted that you're going to get, but I guess there's a lot of business owners out there who just take that agency at their word and then get burned badly. And then all of a sudden we trust no one, which isn't great for anyone either. And then lastly, to your point as well, don't trust an agency that's not being transparent about their figures and numbers and dashboards and things. If they can't prove what they're doing for you, how do you know what they're doing is working? And yes, it's confusing. There's lots of, you probably won't understand half of the metrics and numbers, especially in your case where you're talking with landscapers, right? Like, what's a conversion rate? What's a click through? What's a cost per customer? What's a client acquisition cost? All these sorts of, there's going to be loads of metrics that you don't understand. But the point being is, if your agency aren't willingly coming to you to present the figures and showcasing how proud they are of what they're doing, then something's probably off somewhere. They're hiding something, or they don't know themselves what they should be measuring, which gives me concerns about results. The other question that I led on to for you was, what's the biggest mistake small business owners making right now?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, no, you made some excellent points there. And also, I guess, to your relationship example too, and talking about small business owners, when an agency does come to you, and it's actually mind-boggling, because I've been on so many sales calls with business owners, and none of them ask me for previous results. None of them ask me for proof. None of them ask me for evidence. These things, I 100% bet, if these agents or if these small business owners asked these questions of, oh, can I see your past client results? Can I see what other clients have fought with you? Can I get on a call with a previous client that you've had? I bet you that all these small business owners who took on these SEO agencies or these marketing agencies who were then disappointed wouldn't have put them on in the first place if they've seen their previous results. From a Google search from some of these landscapers, I can just quickly go on and see the quality of blogs that the agencies have been posting, and have a quick audit and see that it's just not up to standard. Asking those questions and not being afraid to, because I'm sure a lot of these agencies get on calls and just tell them, oh, click-through rate, it's going to be like very high, the sales are going to be increasing. But I think that these small business owners are more focused on their day-to-day job and don't, I guess, have the time to look into these things. Just go, oh, okay. I think a strong piece of advice for small business owners would be asking how and asking why, and educating themselves on what's going on in the industry and keeping up to date with these new marketing methods. Because even if you want to keep to word of mouth and word of mouth is working excellently for you, it's still worth to learn about these different streams of marketing, such as social media marketing and sending out newsletters. So I guess my one piece of advice would just be to not stop learning, try to keep up to date as possible, maybe finding a few newsletters or reputable sources to grow and learn about new things, even if it's not fully relevant to what you're doing. Because I think, like yourself, Paul, this whole thing is just a non-stop learning. And once you stop learning, that's when you stop growing. Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice would be to never stop learning, and also, I guess, take a bit of a risk as well, but make sure it's an educated risk where you've asked the questions of, oh, well, what have the past results been? Or why does something work like this? Or how does this work? And constantly asking questions and trying to grow your mindset.
Fantastic. Ryan, I appreciate you've talked extensively about landscaping, and I know that's not your only target audience, right? It's a great example of an area that you know well. If a business owner is listening along to this and thinking, do you know what? Like, I can understand exactly what Ryan's saying there. I've been in that boat. I've been burned by those things. And they want to have a chat with you to find out a bit more. How can they best contact you?
Yeah, 100%. So the best way to get in touch with me would be to email me, Ryan at AnswerThis.io. That is RYN@ANSWER.io. And then you can also just look me up on LinkedIn, Ryan McCarrol. I'm more than happy to message back anyone on there. I'm currently growing a personal Instagram account. It's actually the same account that I used to post on when I was younger. So it has 2K followers, but I deleted all my posts just because I didn't think they were as quality as I can make them now. Yeah, you'll probably see me post about that on LinkedIn when I do have clips from this podcast or posts going up there. But yeah, email or LinkedIn is the best way to reach me.
Fantastic. And we'll stick all those email addresses and websites, etc., down in the show notes. So if you want to find out a bit more, you can just click through down below. Ryan, you've been a fantastic guest. Thank you very much for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. And I wish you all the best of success as you grow considerably again this year. It sounds like you've got a fantastic year ahead of you.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for bringing me on. And yeah, so many great takes on your end too. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you.
No problem. Thank you very much. If you're listening or watching along on YouTube or the usual podcast directories, we'll be back next week with another guest. And if you know someone who might make a good guest or you would like to be a guest yourself, feel free to reach out. Again, links are below in the show notes. Don't forget to give us a subscribe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to feature on a future show, or you've got some ideas for folks who would make a great guest, please drop us a line. Contact details are in the show notes, and I'd love to hear from you. Your host today was me, Paul Banks, founder at Javelin Content Management. Here at Javelin, we specialise in helping busy business owners just like you to repurpose video content, taking all the stress and tech problems away and turning your long-form video into literally hundreds of pieces of content without breaking the bank. We describe it as getting ideas out of your head into video and out to your socials. If you want to launch your personal brand, become the vendor of choice for your audience, or maximise your sales revenue impact, we'd love to hear from you. Join us next Wednesday for the next episode, and don't forget to subscribe and give us a review. Our podcast is only possible with your continued support.